So, I honestly hesitated to preach on this passage today. You think that last week's Good Samaritan message of love everyone, even people you don't like, can be offensive? This one it's worse. And it's been so misused over the years. During parts of the Middle Ages, this passage was used as this way of saying that a life of contemplation is better than a life of service. And what you should do is it's people who are monks or who are nuns or who are people who separate themselves that are really the better people. They have chosen the better part. Even worse, male theologians and pastors over the years have used this as women should just sit and be quiet and not be in leadership. Those are just flat out wrong. But it's still an important story, and it has and contains an important message. There's nothing about the gospel message today that is not transgressive. There's nothing that isn't unexpected. Jesus is traveling to Jerusalem. He has set his face towards Jerusalem. He is going to the place where he will be crucified. And as he is going through this town, and this is right after he is sent out, his disciples preach and they've come back. Now he's traveling through this town, and when he gets to this town, a woman named Martha invites Jesus to her house. Now there's already a lot about this, that if you're sitting in first century Palestine listening to this message, listening to this passage, you are shocked. A woman with her own household? A woman with her own household inviting a man into her household? It's Martha's house, as far as we know. And the thing is, Martha is doing exactly what Jesus has said to do. Jesus, as I said, sent out the disciples. He told his disciples that when they go and when they preach, go and stay in whatever home welcomes you. And if you're not welcome, kick the dust off of your feet. So Martha's doing what one would expect of a host, man or woman. She's getting things ready for her guest. She's in the kitchen. She's out in the back. She's working really hard to make this place a place that would be, as she would think, acceptable and right for a teacher or just any guest to come and stay. She's getting things ready. I think any of us who grew up in the South know that when somebody comes to your house, you spend a lot of time trying to get it ready for them. We had a couple of people over, friends that we've known for years and loved and have seen us at our worst. And they came over last night and we had about 5 minutes and Paige was like, we've got to vacuum, we've got to clean, we've got to get everything ready. We were just watching Clue. But as she's getting everything ready, her sister Mary is sitting at the feet of Jesus, listening to him. Now, this may not seem like much, but sitting at the feet of a teacher was the mark of a disciple. It was the traditional pose of a disciple. And she sits as a disciple at Jesus' feet. This young woman sits as a disciple. While at the same time, again, Mary's not just getting things ready. Martha's not just getting things ready. The word that's used in the Greek is the word for deacon. I want to tell you a little secret that you may not know. But when the Bible was translated into kind of modern languages from ancient Greek and Hebrew Hebrew, especially the Greek, a lot of times when a man did something and it said he was deaconing, they left the word as deacon. But when a woman did it and used the same word, doing the same things, the translators would say she was servant. So often, a woman is doing the same thing as a man, taking the same kind of action, being the same kind of servant to Christ. And a man is a deacon and a woman is just a servant. According to the translators. But Martha is deaconing and Mary is discipling in this. But the thing is, of course, as we know, as we've heard, as you've probably heard 1,000 times, Mary is not helping Martha. And if you have ever been on the receiving end of a family member who thinks you should be helping them, you know exactly what Martha's doing in this moment. I've been there. I've done it, and I've been on the receiving end. How many times did Martha poke her head out of the kitchen and just say, but finally she just loses it, right? She loses it. Jesus, she says, don't you care about this? Don't you care? My sister, I'm sitting here trying to get everything ready, trying to make everything perfect for you, and my sister needs to get in the kitchen and help with me. Instead, she's just sitting there listening to you. Don't you care? And Jesus essentially says, no, I don't. I don't. Mary, you see, he says, Mary has chosen the better part. And this is where things get a little dicey for us. Let's be honest. How many of us here feel for Martha? How many of us feel for Martha? How many of us would be in the kitchen looking out? Mary, I need you to bring something. Really? How many of us feel for Martha? Shouldn't Jesus be telling Mary to help her sister out? Isn't that what he should be doing? Doesn't he know how hard Martha's working by herself? And didn't we just say last week that God calls us to act, which is exactly what Martha's doing. Martha's being a good host. Martha's serving Jesus. Martha's doing exactly, we think, what she is supposed to be doing. Why doesn't Jesus see this? Now, first off, I think it's important for us to zoom out on the context just a little bit here. Remember, I said Jesus is on his way to Jerusalem. His death is imminent. They will not have him for long. He won't be there much longer. And there will be opportunities to act in other ways at other times. But this moment that Mary and Martha have, this moment is the last chance that they will have to just stop and listen to Jesus in person. There is an urgency to what Jesus is doing and an urgency to the listening, to the stopping. Martha is not doing anything wrong. She's doing what a good host is expected to do. She's not doing anything wrong. It's just at this moment in time, this particular moment, she is emphasizing the wrong thing. She has Jesus right there in front of her. This may be the last opportunity she ever has to talk to him, to listen to him, to just sit at his feet like Mary is doing. And she's distracted by making everything perfect. She's not spending any time with him. She's just busy. She's distracted, not by anything bad. That'd be easy. She's not distracted by anything bad. She's just distracted by something that isn't as important as what she could be doing at this moment. There is an amazing thing about what Jesus is doing here. He is telling a woman. A woman who, in this culture, had no real place, supposedly. He's telling a woman whose place was in preparing the house, was in being in the kitchen, was in whatever. He is telling a woman that there is a more important thing to do in this moment, that what we should be doing in this moment is stopping and listening and being a disciple. He is inviting Martha, he is inviting the woman into discipleship at this time. And that's kind of hard for a lot of us to hear, men or women, because we are pretty constantly distracted. Now, I'm not going to go off on a screed about social media or the internet or whatever. I don't care about that right now. But many of us are absolutely convinced that everything's going to fall apart without us. That if we don't stay busy constantly, it will all fall apart. As a pastor, I am at least as guilty of this as anyone else. If I don't get everything right, if my sermon isn't perfect, if I say the wrong thing in a counseling session, if I'm not there when someone stops by unannounced, everything is just going to fall apart without me. I have to constantly be busy. I have to constantly be doing something because, let's face it, everybody, I am very, very important. It all depends on me. We can fall into this trap. All of us can, and we all do. This trap of believing that we are the most important people in the world, that nothing would happen if we're not there to do it. And so we make an idol out of busyness. That us being busy is the only thing that keeps this world spinning, and we brag about how busy we are. If you have ever been in a meeting of pastors, you will know that the thing we talk about more than anything is, just how busy we all are. I haven't had a day off in weeks. I haven't had a day off in months. And I just don't know what I would do if I had a day off. I'm so busy. As if we are Atlas with the whole world on our shoulders. And we lose track of why we're doing all of this in the first place. Of what the point of all of this is. That our lives are not supposed to be about busyness, but it's supposed to be about connecting with the God who created us. And so the challenges that this passage poses for us are twofold. We're challenged in this moment to set up our priorities and to realize that all of this is not about us. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's not about us. There are a million things that any of us could be doing at any given moment. And most of them are good things to be doing. We could be doing very good things. But our priority in this moment should be on Christ. Mind you, this doesn't mean that we aren't called to action on behalf of others. Just the opposite. When we focus on Christ, when we focus on Jesus, we stop and we pray and we listen. We connect ourselves to the one who acted on behalf of the whole world. We rest and we listen so that we know God, and that God gives us the power and the will to do great things for our neighbors, to live lives of hospitality and grace. We also remember this, it's not about us. That we can indeed stop. We can rest. We can listen. And I promise you, the whole world won't fall apart. Because we are not the center of it all. God, who shows up in the world as Christ, is the center. We can rest. We can stop. We can listen because it doesn't depend on us. It's not our busyness that will save us our Savior. and rest, knowing that the work of God will continue. And the work of God will still be there waiting for us when it's time for us to get busy once again. So choose to listen and to grow in Christ. Choose the better